I want you to imagine for a moment, you're a middle-aged guy in your 50s. You've been married for 20 years, so you weren't a kid when you made the choice to marry this woman. But for the last 10 years, things have been pure hell. She manipulates you. She gaslights you. Hell, she's even hit you. Your self-esteem is in the tank. You've moved out a couple of times just to give yourself some peace, to give yourself a place to find refuge. But for some reason, you keep going back to her. What the hell is going on? What is wrong with me? That's what he said. That's a summary of an email I received from a guy recently. And it is like so many other conversations I have with men. Why do they accept the abuse? Why do they live in these toxic environments? And what's interesting is, most of them don't realize just how destructive it is to their health, to their psychology, to their frame of mind, to their quality of life. They endure it. And when I question them, like, why don't you just leave? They look at me like, well, isn't this just the way it is for everybody? That's what I'm going to talk about today. Why do we stay in these toxic relationships? Why do we endure this pain? What's going on here? This is Life 2.0. Let's talk about it. If this is your first time on this channel, my name is Griffin, and today we're going to be talking about toxic relationships and how smart, successful, professional guys end up in these relationships that are so toxic and destructive that they're literally killing them from the inside out. And they don't realize it. They don't realize how destructive this relationship is. So today, not only going to talk about why this happens, but what you can do about it, how you can remove yourself from this environment and reclaim your health, your sanity, your peace of mind, your whole life. I'm going to hit you with some very uncomfortable truths. There are millions of men right now in relationships that are killing them from the inside out, that are toxic, that are psychologically, emotionally, physically dangerous for their health. And yet these men stay in these relationships and they fight for them. They fight to maintain the marriage, the relationship of whatever kind it is. They think that it's in their own best interest to stay there. The divorce courts are filled with guys like this. And here's the irony, is these guys are not losers. These are not guys that are down on their luck. These are doctors and lawyers and businessmen who have been extremely successful in all other areas of their life. And yet, because of God knows what, there's something inside them that drives them to keep these relationships going long after most people would say, yeah, that's not good. You need to get out of there. Like, that's a burning house. You need to get the fuck out. But they'll sit right there and let the house burn down all around them. There are a couple of reasons why this happens. I think for a lot of guys, probably myself included, it starts when we're children. You know, as babies and as young children, new to this world, I think that we are filled with some level of fear and are needing a lot of emotional support and love. And I think that a lot of us were born to young mothers who were probably quite self-centered, immature, and incapable of providing that level of love. And as a result, we go through our lives trying to replace it, trying to find someone who will replace it. And when they create an environment where we feel rejected or pushed away or unloved, Well, it probably triggers some kind of weird, sick, emotional familiarity where we go, yeah, this is just like my mom. I know, that's deep stuff there. That's a tough one. But I think that's what happens with a lot of us. But there's more. There are other things that really tear us up. And they get even deeper into your psychology because, yeah, this is a mind fuck all the way through and through. And the only thing you can do is watch for it in your life. So why do guys stay in these toxic relationships? Well, it's not love. I can tell you that for sure. It's something called trauma bonding. And this is not about shared trauma that you're experiencing together and you bond in that process, but rather a more cyclic cycle, like a process of pain and pleasure that creates trauma in you. It's very much like slot machines. You know, you can pull on the slot machine arm over and over and over and over and over again, and then suddenly you win. It's unexpected, but that intermittent dopamine hit that you get makes that addictive. Well, trauma bonding is like that. So you go for a period of time where she's toxic, she's mean, she's rolling her eyes, she's disrespectful, maybe she's physically abusive. And then suddenly she turns on you and she becomes affectionate and loving and apologetic, and she's just all about you, telling you how good looking you are and what a sweet person you are and how lucky she is to have you. And then it goes back to the trauma again, where now you're getting beat up and you're getting told what a shithead you are and how you're worthless and how she's better than you and how everything about you is not up to snuff, like you're just not up to her standards. And then out of nowhere comes the love and affection again. This is the intermittent dopamine hit, and it is extremely addictive. So guys that get into this trauma bond, and I think I'm talking to a guy now who is experiencing something like this because his wife fits this exactly right, where she is mean and abusive to him most of the time, and then suddenly she's affectionate and kind and smiling and thoughtful, and then it goes right back to the nastiness again. And I was talking to him in a Zoom call the other day, and the whole time, like, she's in the house, she works from home that day, and he's in the backyard talking to me on his computer, and he's just looking to see if she's looking out the window or if she's got the window open, if she can overhear. Like, he's like an abused child who's afraid dad's gonna come home with a belt and beat him. You know what I mean? He's watching for dad's car the whole time. Well, he was just like that, looking up at the window, her bedroom, and afraid that she would hear him telling me what a cunt she is, how evil she is, how absolutely psychopathic, narcissistic, I don't know, personality disordered she is. She just fit the bill on so many of these things. It's impossible for me as an amateur to diagnose her, but there's something going on there that is purely evil. And I could tell that it was deep in him. And it was both the repulsion of her and then the knowing that there was something else. There was this affection, this love, this kindness that would come out of her from time to time that would keep him stuck and locked into that relationship. So all guys have this whole nice guy thing, or at least most of us do, where we're trying to put the needs of others ahead of our own. This self-sacrificial thing, men just seem to lock in on this at such an early age, especially with a woman, and you know, and the imprint of those first sexual experiences that you're having with that woman are so powerful in our mind. We always try to identify with that experience on some level, and so we are looking for ways to make things work. We're problem solvers, and the nice guy thing is just part of that problem solving disease that we have. So we get into a problem, a bad relationship, toxic behavior, and we adjust our behaviors in order to change the outcome that we're getting. We're trying to figure her out. We're trying to create an environment where this problem can be solved. And so when she feeds into that with positive behavior, with being kind and loving for a brief period of time, we think we've cracked the code. We figured it out. We nailed it. We got it nailed. And then when it goes back the other way, we think, holy shit, did I do something? Did I lose it? But for guys who are hyper successful in their careers and other areas of their life, this becomes even more problematic because they're used to succeeding. And when they're dealing with something that's so important to them, the concept of failure is just not acceptable. They cannot accept the idea that they could possibly fail at something so central to their lives in their relationship, you know? And so the need to double down, to keep adding to keep trying to work this out, trying to solve this problem, because they've overcome so many obstacles before in their life. They think that they can solve this. Like she's just another math problem to be figured out, to be solved. She's not. She's not like that. Her problems are far more far-reaching than anything that you can imagine. Then in addition, you've got the whole sunk cost fallacy. It's like, well, I've invested so much time and energy and money and emotional resources into this relationship, there's just no way I can let it fail. There's no way I can just give up. I've got to keep working harder. Like if it's not working, it's not because there's something wrong here. It's because I just haven't worked hard enough. So I need to double down on the investment that I've made and make sure that this relationship works in the end. It becomes more than just about the marriage. It becomes more about their identity. It becomes a, I don't know, there's almost like a sickness to it. And then finally, and this is a big one, and nobody likes to admit this, but there is an enormous fear of being alone. Like, it's the hell I know versus the hell I don't. You know, yeah, she's a bitch, and she makes my life miserable. The only thing that's worse than that is the possibility that I might be miserable by myself. That maybe it's not her. Maybe it's me. And maybe when I'm alone in my own stew, I'm stewing in my own juices, I'm going to find out that I was the problem the whole time. Ah, man, what could be worse than that? Like my marriage has failed, I divorced her, now I'm alone and I'm more miserable than ever. Yeah, that's not going to happen. But that's one of the big fears that guys have, is they're going to just self-destruct on their own somehow. The physical effects are just as bad, if not worse. You're in a constant state of stress. This chronic stress causes your cortisol levels to be elevated all the time. You can't sleep at night. You develop anxiety, depression. You start second-guessing yourself all the time. Your masculinity drops. Your levels of testosterone drop. You become a shadow of the man that you were initially. She's literally driving down that part of you that could rise up and challenge her. You are being diminished as a man every single day that you remain in this relationship. It is literally sucking the life out of you. The most common excuse, and I am calling it an excuse here, that men give for staying in these horrific, toxic relationships is that they don't want to leave the kids behind. First of all, if you remain in this relationship and you are modeling this behavior to your children, what does that portend for their future? How is that going to affect them when they get into a marriage or relationship of their own? What are you modeling for them? Do you want this for your son in 20 or 30 years? Do you want him to be experiencing the same hell that you're experiencing? Absolutely not. Modeling strong masculine behavior does not mean being a bully, does not mean screaming your head off, it does not mean having big muscles. What it means is having self-respect. It means standing up for yourself and not allowing yourself to be treated without respect, in a disrespectful way. By standing on your own 2 feet and in a calm, firm, absolute way, saying you're not putting up with this anymore, or walking out that door is better than staying in that toxic relationship. the courts will grant you at least some visitation. And in lots of jurisdictions, you'll get half at least. And if you can show that she's a nut job, you might get all the custody. So don't give up before there's even been a fight. You have to prioritize what can you live with and what can't you live with. And you cannot help your children. You cannot be there for them if you cannot even be there for yourself. And that's what so many men do. It's like that old airline thing, you know, secure your own mask before you secure the mask of others. You have to do that. If you're not securing your own mask, you're going to die. And in this relationship, if you can't save yourself, you sure as hell can't save your kids. I guarantee you that. And then finally, we all have expiration dates. You know, you don't have forever. You don't have an endless amount of time to live your life, to do the things that you want, to achieve the goals, the dreams, the beliefs, the ideas, whatever you have in your head about your future, your vision for your life. You don't have till the end of time. You will die. Come to terms with your own mortality. It is critical that you make death a regular part of your life, because it's only through death that your life has meaning. And if you want to give your life meaning, then you've got to recognize that the time is running out. And you cannot afford to waste one day more in a relationship that is killing you from the inside out. The waste of time in a relationship that is so toxic is such a waste of resources. You know, financially to you, how much would you be willing to pay for 10 more years of life? What would that be worth? How much could you pay? Would you give all of the money that you have in your savings and in your retirement account to know that you could have 10 more good years of life? Because you just wasted 10 years. You just wasted 10 years in this relationship. You cannot allow yourself to fall into that trap of becoming numb to this experience and making it a part of your day-to-day life. You've got to draw the line and explain to yourself or come to terms with it yourself that your life has value, and wasting it in this way is not helping you, it's not helping her, it's not helping your kids, it's not helping anyone. It's just a waste. There is no benefit. There's no upside to this. There's no, no one's going to give you a trophy at the end and say, you survived, congratulations, you're a tough guy, you made it through hell. No, there's no medal that you're going to get at the end. No, you're just going to be living at some point with the recognition and the remorse that you wasted a decade of your life or more with a crazy, insane person who made your life miserable the entire time, when you could have been doing something better, where you could have been living your own life on your own terms, where maybe you could have even had a better relationship with your kids if you had been out of that environment. You could have modeled appropriate male behavior for them. Imagine that. Imagine that. It's okay, pal. Just stay. Leave it. Come on. Knowing the warning signs when this stuff starts happening is critical. You know, some of it, I think what happens is we just sort of sink into our day-to-day life and we think that these behaviors are transient and we don't pay attention to them. But if you look closely, you'll find a pattern. The difficult thing here is taking responsibility for the fact that you may have married the wrong girl, that you may have pulled the trigger on a relationship that never should have happened. And that's a really tough thing to swallow because it's such a big decision in our lives. When we think about what college you should go to or what kind of job you should have, and these are all big decisions, well, what woman you marry is probably even bigger than that. And so to fuck up that decision makes you feel like you're a failure. Yeah, you're not. You're not. You just made a bad decision. Don't double down on a bad decision by staying in a relationship that's not working. That makes a bad decision a bad life, and you don't want to have that. Breaking free from a toxic relationship, it's not just about leaving. It's about becoming the man that you are meant to be. You're not going to be able to live a fulfilling life if you're surrounded by people who are undermining you, who are making you feel like you're not good enough, who are constantly tearing you down, that's not healthy in any way, shape, or form. And I know that as you hear me saying this, you recognize it, you're seeing it, you know it's true. At some point, though, you've just got to make the decision to take action on your own behalf. You cannot allow yourself to remain in this toxic environment. You know, and it's hard. It's hard. I know for guys who haven't experienced this kind of bullshit, is they're thinking, why the fuck would anybody stay in that kind of relationship? Why are they in there? And it's a complicated thing, man, because you got all these mixed emotions, and love is one of those emotions. And there's something deep down inside you that says, but I love her. And you know something? You probably don't. You're probably just addicted. You're probably just addicted to it. The fear of being alone and the constant churning of these behaviors like the slot machine, there's an addiction there, and it's not healthy for you, it's not healthy for her, and it's not healthy for anyone else. If this video has resonated with you, if this is something that you think you might be experiencing in your life and you don't have a clear path out, you know, check my website out and sign up for a coaching session. Maybe I can help walk you through this process. I know it's difficult, especially if you're out there on your own, if you're isolated. Nobody wants to go through this, but if you have someone who's got a little bit of experience, maybe it'll make it a little bit easier for you to find the right path forward for yourself. All right, you guys, that's all I got for you today. If you know someone who's going through this and you think they might benefit from this video, please share it with them. Please remember to like and subscribe. Until next time, stay healthy, and if you can, stay single.